So I'm going to do a playthrough, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to give a lot of this backstory that basically everything this game can offer from the original. From playing Human Revolution, I think they did a very, very good job with that prequel, and there really wasn't that many references to the original, and that's understandable. Now with Mankind Divided, it was riddled, it was everywhere, and I think a lot of people, those that have not played the game, a lot of things probably went over your head. And that's kind of why I'm making this video, because I really want everybody to get the full story. A lot of hypotheses and things like that are out there, and they're great. Unfortunately, a lot of them aren't fact-based. One of the things is Adam Jensen is actually never mentioned in this original series. But I am going to go back through and just 100% sure. There was a guy that says that his name is mentioned in the newspaper as the leader of a terrorist group, NSF. And if that's true, that's very, very interesting, and we'll have to see if they make it into the third set of the original or the reboot kind of trilogy that they're making. And they say it's at the sub base, but of course the guy did not offer any screenshots or anything like that. So unfortunately, as of right now, it's an uncredible, unverified source. But some of the things that I've noticed that are incorrect, which is kind of the reason why I'm doing this, is there is a lot of incorrect things. J.C. Denton did not come from Adam Jensen. If anything, the thing that we've seen in this game is that JC comes directly from Paul Denton. Paul Denton is born of two parents. They're extremely poor, but Paul Denton has a very unique genetic makeup, kind of like Adam Jensen did. There's something in his brain that the Majestic 12 organization wants, and I'll touch on that a lot later. But they're a big... the Majestic 12 is a very, very big part of this series. Now, in Mankind Divided, at the very end of that series, we learn about the Illuminati, and they kind of control, little pieces here and there, one of those being the Majestic 12 organization. Now, Majestic 12 actually takes Paul when he's born, or not when he's born, but, he goes through the academy and things like that. Now, Paul's a pacifist, and that's very interesting because that's kind of the way that the developers kind of want you to play. There's a pacifist route and things like that. Well, when he plays, or when you have, you can have people come in, and I'll show you in the very beginning area. You'll notice Paul never uses a weapon, meaning like a pistol or a rifle. He'll use pepper spray or a riot prod to subdue his enemies, and it's very, very interesting to see. Well, that doesn't go over very well with Majestic 12, and I'll even get into a little bit of the backstory, but he gets kicked off of his Hong Kong assignment and is brought back to New York because he has a failed assassination attempt with the Triads. Well, just to hit back on that though, Paul Denton, like I said, he is born of two regular parents. They're very, very poor. Well, they can't have any more kids after Paul. So Majestic 12 comes, and they're like, there's something in Paul Denton's brain that we want. Just like Adam Jensen has a very unique genetic makeup, but they don't want to mess up on Paul Denton. So what they do is they trick the parents into thinking they have a new fertility option out there for them. And what they do is they say, hey, we'll give you a bunch of money. You guys can live comfortably for the rest of your life if you will just, go ahead and go with this fertility program. So they go ahead and go along with it. And what they don't realize, and what Majestic 12 doesn't tell them, is that J.C. Denton is actually an identical clone of Paul Denton. They actually make several of them. Another one being Alex Denton, which is the main character of the Invisible War series. There is, like I said, there's absolutely no mention of Adam Jensen in the original. There's even no mention of Megan Reed in the original. So as of right now, there's some great hypotheses, and we can postulate that, hey, since Megan Reed is working for VersaLife, which is actually a front company for Bob Page, which they touch a lot in the original, perhaps she was the one that manufactured the Great Death virus. But of course, this is all theories right now. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and go through this. This playthrough will be a very big lore playthrough. I'm not going to have combat things. It's not a gameplay video. It's strictly a lore playthrough. So you're not going to watch me sit here and like beat the game. I've always found that funny that people that do lore playthroughs and it's just them playing the video game and it's like 2 minutes of lore for an hour-long video, and you're like, okay. But anyway, we'll go ahead and do this. Kind of a pro tip. So code name J.C. Denton, that is your code name, Paul Denton, and real name, you can make it whatever you want. Kind of a pro tip, whenever you're starting out, you want to do computer electronics, and lockpicking, because there's a lot of things that you're going to need throughout this game. So I'm going to go ahead and not talk during this opening cutscene.
Your appointment to FEMA should be finalized within the week. I've already discussed the matter with the Senator.
I take it he was agreeable?
He didn't really have a choice.
Has he been infected?
Oh yes, most certainly. When I mentioned that we could put him on the priority list for the ambrosia vaccine, he was so willing it was almost pathetic.
This plague, the rioting, is intensifying to the point where we may not be able to contain it.
Why contain it? Let it spill over into the schools and churches. Let the bodies pile up in the streets. In the end, they'll beg us to save them.
I've received reports of armed attacks on shipments. There's not enough vaccine to go around, and the underclasses are starting to get desperate.
Of course they're desperate. They can smell their death, and the sound they'll make rattling their cage will serve as a warning to the rest.
I hope you're not underestimating the problem. The others may not go as quietly as you think. Intelligence indicates they're behind the problems in Paris.
A bunch of pretentious old men playing at running the world. But the world left them behind long ago. We are the future.
We have other problems.
UNATCO?
Formed by executive order after the terrorist strike on the statue. I have someone in place, though. I'm more concerned about Savage. He's relocated to Vandenberg.
Our biochem corpus is far in advance of theirs, as is our electronic sentience, and their ethical inflexibility has allowed us to make progress in areas they refuse to consider.
Project?
Among other things, but I must admit that I have been somewhat disappointed in the performance of the primary unit.
The secondary unit should be online soon. It's currently undergoing preparation and will be operational within 6 months. My people will continue to report on its progress. Necessary?
We've had to endure much, you and I, but soon there will be order again. Kings are better than kings. Gods.
So a lot of information that we see there. So Bob Page, we see him talking with the director of FEMA. Very, very interesting that he says he's kind of worried about UNATCO not doing what he wants. And he has somebody in place. If you've played Mankind Divided, you know that it was very suspicious that Manderley was able to get, he was able to go from director of FEMA to the director of Task Force 29. I have a theory that Task Force 29 turns into UNATCO, which is the United Nations Anti-Terrorism Coalition. And they've started labeling basically everybody terrorists. Now, just to let you guys know, this is basically nothing but spoilers. This is basically a story walkthrough, but I'm just going to go ahead and plan that out right now. So we are in New York. The year is 2052, so we are quite a few years ahead of Human Revolution and Mankind Divided. And we play as J.C. Denton, as I said, and our brother is here. Now the statue, the head of the statue was actually torn down by a group, at least we are told it is torn down by NSF. Now we actually see that group in Mankind Divided in the Task Force 29. There's a bulletin board of cases they're running, and one of them is the NSF. Now Lebedev in that is actually the basically financier of this and head of this organization in Mankind Divided. This is in New York City, if you couldn't tell.
It's JC. Your brother Paul is on his way to meet you at the dock. The NSF is raiding the island and shots have been fired. I repeat, find Paul.
There's
I will
him.
monitor your situation from HQ.
Alex Jacobson is a very, very big part of this game. He kind of follows you throughout it, and I'll go ahead and I'll get to him when I need to, but there's our brother Paul running.
Paul, I thought you were in Hong Kong. Welcome to the Coalition, JC. I might as well start using your code name. Think I'd miss my brother's first day? Didn't think you'd have a choice. What's going on? The NSF. They hit one of our shipments. A few of them got away, but we trapped the rest in the statue. What are we waiting for? Looks like textbook assault. The NSF took one of our agents hostage. The bots are holding the perimeter, but my orders are to hold back and send you in alone. I think someone high up wants to see how you handle the situation. All I've got with me is a pistol and an electric prod. I don't mind a test, but UNATCO better issue some hardware. Remember that we're police. Stick with the prod. It'll stun your opponents or knock them unconscious. A non-lethal takedown is always the most silent way to eliminate resistance. Just in case, though, Manderley wants you to pick an additional weapon. A sniper rifle, a GEP gun, or a mini crossbow.
So as we can see right off the bat, we see Manderley. That was the person whom they have in place at UNATCO. Manderley. It's a very tangled web that we'll get into later here. Just to let you know, you will find the rifle and you will find the crossbow very, very soon in this game. I always pick the GEP gun because if you don't pick it now, it takes a little while to get it.
Never know when I might come up against some heavy armor. Give me the GEP gun. The GEP gun might be useful. They have a security bot on patrol near the statue entrance. Great. What's the first move? I'm going to give you a map of the island. If you can get to the North Dock, a UNATCO informant will give you a key to the statue doors. He responds to the code phrase, iron and copper. You could avoid a lot of fighting, though, if you found a back way to the statue. I'll see how it looks on shore. Your primary objective is the makeshift command center the terrorists have installed at the top of the statue. But don't forget about Agent Herman. We think he's being held on the ground floor. What are my orders when I reach the command center? Interrogate the leader. We don't yet know why the terrorists would risk an open assault.
So just like in Human Revolution and Mankind Divided, there are several ways to do each mission. You can go in the front door, guns blazing. You can go the pacifist route. To be quite honest with you, the whole entire time I played this when I was in high school, I always just blazed, guns blazed. I just love to waste everybody. I don't know, I just find it more fun. The pacifist route has kind of grown on me, though, as I grow older. We can go over here and we can actually talk to Paul some more.
There's been some activity at sea. I'm going to watch the coast. Why'd they bring you back to New York? I don't know what they have planned. I messed up an assassination attempt on one of the Triad leaders in Hong Kong. UNATCO pulled you out? It's a long story. You better head to the statue. Which Triad was UNATCO targeting? We'll talk about that later. How was your graduation? I want to hear what happened. I wish I could have come. At the time, I could have cared less that Mom and Dad came to mine, but it was a good thing. The UN threw a dinner in honor of me, the first nano-augmented agent. I didn't know that. Guess I must be old news. Dad made a toast. I don't know if you remember his old brown suit. A toast? That doesn't sound like our father. It was hard for him in front of the diplomats, but he savored every moment. Strange how proud he could be when so much was due to our augmentations. Yes, he was proud. I believe that much. It was nice to have done something for him and Mom. I wish someone could have been there for you. I'm used to being on my own. One can be too self-sufficient, I'm coming to believe.
So Paul and JC are brothers. They are clones. And just to let you know, I can't remember the exact number, but it's somewhere between 12 and 17 years apart. We are between each other. Now, JC, the person we are playing, has just graduated the UNATCO Academy, and we are ready to go into the field. This is actually our very first mission, and Manderley and UNATCO is kind of
Best thing is to let the bots handle the ground assault.
Kind of see how we're going to handle this. Now, they do have some, but apparently they want us to go in. I'm going to show you this. Now, these are the NSF terrorists. One's just kind of sitting on the bench here. I always like to just kind of run back over here.
Stay out of their field of view, walk slowly to stay quiet.
And then these guys will actually take them out. Okay, so what he's talking about is the helipad over here, and I'm going to go ahead and go over here. We're just going to sneak over here. And what I was saying, right away, right when we start, we will get the trank, or the gun. I'm going to go over here, and he'll actually shoot this other guy, because there's a gate over here. We see a helicopter landing, and I do want to show this little kind of Easter egg. It was in Mankind Divided. It was actually a hidden trophy, and it was enter a classic password in here. Now if I go here and I type in 0451, it actually opens up the gate over here. Some more trank darts, and I want to go ahead and point this out. This is where most of your information will come from, is these old data cubes. It'll have like password and things just like in the other one. These are little security terminals, and we can type in the password or we can either hack it up here. This is just cameras and kind of dumb stuff up here though. So this is the UNATCO kind of headquarters. It's a huge underground actual building on Liberty Island, New York here, UNATCO headquarters. So without further ado, I've already cleared this area, and I'm just going to go ahead and skip straight to the part where we talk to the terrorist, head of the NSF here. So here we are, and we just kind of cleared this whole area. Our mission is actually to get to the very top of this statue and talk to this man right here. This is actually, they do have the wine and liquor in this game as well. It doesn't really do much. It just kind of blurs your vision and kind of makes you walk kind of funny. It's kind of pointless. There are a couple people that will ask for it, though, just like in the original game. I mean, I'm sorry, just like in Human Revolution and Mankind Divided. These are augmentation canisters, and if I go ahead and go in here, these are all the different augs that you can get, and each aug canister has a choice of 2 augmentations. You cannot pick both. And once you do it, it is kind of permanent. So you have to be very, very careful when doing this. This was kind of cool. In Invincible War, we actually saw the introduction of black market augs. But for now, I'll go ahead and do that. We'll go ahead and talk to this guy.
Don't shoot. I surrender.
So you think you know better than FEMA what to do with this month's ambrosia shipment?
You're too late. It's on its way back to the people, and you can't do a damn thing about it.
Tell me about the shipment, and I'll order the troops to pick you up as a prisoner instead of a corpse.
Ask away. We already won this round.
Where are you taking it?
We're just giving ordinary people the same chance to survive as the bureaucrats in Washington.
You'll have to unload in New York because the choppers would spot you at sea.
I think the government made the plague on purpose to get rid of the population growth.
Well done. I will pass on your orders to the troopers. Report back to base on the west side of the island. Mission complete.
Now, these augmentation canisters, you do have to go to a medical bot, and I will show that in just a minute when we get inside.
Just answer the question.
Don't believe me? It's all in the numbers. For 100 years, there's been a conspiracy of plutocrats against ordinary people.
Do you have a single fact to back that up?
Number 1. In 1945, corporations paid 50% of federal taxes. Now they pay about 5%. Number 2. In 1900, 90% of Americans were self-employed. Now it's about 2%.
So?
It's called consolidation. Strengthen governments and corporations, weaken individuals. With taxes, this can be done imperceptibly over time.
I guarantee you that the interrogation staff at UNACO will not be as forbearing as I am.
Yeah, the secret police. You're just bullies for a completely illegitimate government in Washington.
We will locate that shipment one way or another.
The entire executive branch is handpicked. 19 of the last 23 U.S. presidents have been members of the Trilateral Commission. The Trilateral Commission is financed by the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds. Don't tell me.
That's a think tank. Anyone can become a member.
But not everyone does. That's why they call it the secret government.
So if you're a conspiracy kind of nut or not, I'm not here to debate. I'm not here to legitimize any of these claims of the Illuminati, Majestic 12, or any of that. But it is kind of interesting to hit on these, and that's what this game is all about. So.
You can't fight ideas with...
So at this point, you can actually roam around free. We can actually... Let's see if I can find the head of the statue over here. This was the whole statue. A lot of guys around here, but they will basically knock them out. It's kind of nice. So now you can walk around for free. I guess not for free, but freely. The guy that did this, like I said, very, very good update on this graphic, so kudos to him. Let's see if I can find that head of the statue. So I think it's over here. Here it is. So something happened. Alright, we'll go ahead and go down here.
They said...
Turn up the volume real quick. So when we go back in here, and I'm going to show you the thing. Now, there was a informant. All he does is give you a key, though. There's really no story to that. He'll just tell you, hey, here's the key to this. And then another lady right there will just say, hey, don't go in the front route. There's actually a better route. So there's really no story to meeting the informant. That's why I cut it out of this.
Way to go.
Once again, helicopter taking off.
We've got the island secured. How'd things look in the statue? The leader surrendered. So they were after Ambrosia. A month's supply for the East Coast. We think they've taken it back to the city. I didn't know UNATCO handled the Ambrosia distribution. Manderley will brief us shortly. UNATCO makes sure the limited supply of vaccine gets to government agencies and key industries. It's good to finally see some action. Just keep a level head. You're doing well so far. Now get inside. I'll meet you in Manderley's office, level 2.
So this was kind of the pacifist route. I didn't actually kill anybody through there. Now, a lot of the things, just like in every other Deus Ex, now, like I said, Human Revolution didn't have so much ties to the original. You did have to kind of dig a lot to see the very few things there were. And I want to touch on this really quickly. Now, there was an email in Human Revolution between Manderley and a JC. However, if you logically look at this and use deductive reasoning, we will see that there's no way in God's green earth that it could have been J.C. Denton. J.C. Denton was not born. The person we're playing right now was not born until 2028. So J.C. Denton would have been a baby emailing Manderley. Doesn't really make any sense. I think it could have been the Juggernaut Collective. That's J.C. as well. There's a lot of different JCs, I guess. We don't have to automatically assume that. And then I've also heard, I have a lot of friends that have been I got the JD or AJ JC connection. There's no connection. So that's why I'm doing this playthrough too, is kind of get this. Everything that I will be saying in this thing will be backed up by data cubes, newspaper articles, things of that nature. So if we go over here, we'll talk to this guy.
I thought Gunther was a goner.
Once again, data cubes. A lot of these just show you the codes. Once again, we see the 0451.
It's my first day too. I'm pretty excited. I was in your class at the academy. You probably don't remember.
Nope. These are all the computers. Once again, we can kind of go through there as well.
You're just kidding around, right?
Yeah, I'm not really going to hack your computer. See some trophies. This place is absolutely enormous. And
check in with Manderley on level 2.
So once again, there was just a small loading screen, but United Nations Anti-Terrorism Coalition. There's what I look like. And you can't actually use these fountains. Look at that.
Come on in. The retinal scanner can read blood vessel patterns right through your sunglasses.
I can wear my sunglasses at night.
Before the briefing, you've got to go to level 3 for your equipment and a medical examination. See Jaime Reyes in the med center and Sam Carter in the armory.
Now we can kind of fool around in here. There's a lot of little secrets you can talk to.
Hell of a first day.
The different people in here and as well. But there is something very, very important.
Your partner for the next assignment, Anna Navarra, is in the adjoining break room to the east. Maybe you should introduce yourself.
So we did save a guy named Gunther, and the other girl that we're going to be working with, this next mission is Anna Navarro. Now they are older augmentations, kind of more along the lines of an Adam Jensen kind of aug, and they're very jealous of Paul and I because we're a new breed, we're almost like perfect as far as the augmentations are concerned. This is the public access list, and I want to go ahead and show you kind of that, and I'll leave these up here. So you can kind of read that there for a minute. Now this is very interesting. Now at the very, very end, and I'll go through these in order, but at the very end of Mankind Divided, we hear about a group called Silhouette. And of course this stands for the National Secessionist Force, or NSF, and they will only, pretty much all throughout this, they just simply call them NSF. And once again, this time frame of this game, this takes place in 2052. Now, the interesting thing that we see, 2052, we kind of have a long ways to go in between, especially Mankind Divided and this one. So we'll have to see. There's a lot of rumors of a remake, but this is very interesting as well. The Templars, an X-51. Something I do want to say as well, as far as this kind of dystopian future that we are embarking on right now. The funny thing is that the United States is actually the last last country in the world not to fall under Illuminati control. And that's why Bob Page, in the very beginning, he's like, I am so pissed right now because, they're not bending to my will. And he's very, very upset, and he's like, well, how do we do it? Well, I'm going to release a plague, and then they have no other choice. So we already see the very sadistic side of him. Here's our brother's office right here. Let's go ahead and go to Manderley's office. Like I said, this place is absolutely enormous, and there's actually a very, very big secret in this building. I don't want to ruin it just yet, but let me see if I can remember. There's something else down here too. Those are just restrooms. So there's Anna Navarra.
Are you sure you pressed the right button?
I do not make mistakes of that kind.
Your hand might have slipped.
No, I wanted orange. It gave me lemon lime.
The machine would not make a mistake.
It's the maintenance man. He knows I like orange.
So you think the staff has some kind of plot?
Yes, they do that on purpose.
So what I mean by older augmentations is you can tell these guys are upgraded and augmented. You cannot tell that Paul and I are augmented, to the naked eye.
My new partner, J.C. Denton. Don't tell me you're going to wear those sunglasses during a night operation.
Yes.
My vision is augmented.
At least it is a way that we know when it's not Paul.
Forgive my interruption. I just wanted to say that I look forward to working with you, Agent Navarra. Also, excuse me, I've got to be briefed by Mr. Manderley.
I do not expect you to perform as well as Agent Herman, but the mission will require us to do more than frighten the NSF with our baggy coats that make us look bigger than we really are.
I am prepared to perform my duties.
He will not be the equivalent of his brother. I have seen that he knows the procedure of a good offensive.
Let us hope you are right.
I won't let you down, Agent.
So as you can see, there's a lot of animosity between these older agents and kind of the newer generation that we see here. And they've kind of mentioned to Paul, hey, Paul's, more of a defensive, non-combative kind of person, and it's not going over very well. And they're hoping that, I can be shaped a lot better. Let me see. We need to go down.
We finally...
So here we see Joseph Manderley, and here is kind of a big, big secret. And these are little nano keys here. They're really, really cool. Look at this woman's name.
Good work out there, Mr. Denton. Mr. Manderley said you handled yourself nicely. Welcome to UNATCO HQ. Our little family keeps getting bigger.
Is Mr. Manderley available?
Yes, go right in. By the way, your computer account is ready. Log in JCD, password Bionic Man.
Her name is Janice Reed, and her last name is spelled just like Megan Reed. So I have a, hypothesis that possibly...
He's waiting, JC.
Megan Reed is, such a big, big character.
What's the idea, JC?
Okay, I'm going, Jesus. In that thing, I think because, Manderley is handpicked, he's, kind of a puppet. Janice Reed, may very well be related to Megan Reed. So here's another little clip there if you want to read that. Here's, of course, the liqueur. Now, Manderley is definitely... Leave that up. He's not as fat as he was.
The man himself. Splendid. Do accept my apologies about the situation topside?
A refreshing change from the academy, sir.
Don't despise training, my boy. Even you would be worthless without the shaping touch of drills and studies.
So the NSF took a shipment of the ambrosia vaccine? Give me a chopper and a pilot and I'll handle it.
I'm sure you could. Yes, indeed. But we're having your brother head up the recovery team. You'll work with Agent Anna Navarra. Why don't we meet when you've seen Jaime for a medical checkup and received your equipment from Sam Carter? You'll be briefed at that time.
Yes, sir.
That looks like Jamie, but he says Jaime, so we'll roll...
That's enough, Agent.
Doesn't like me touching his answering machine.
The med center and armory are on level 3.
Now this is one of those holographic displays that we've been seeing in Mankind Divided. He doesn't like me touching that probably is either. Go ahead and leave that up if you want to read some of these little pieces of information.
You've got to see Carter and Reyes before...
There's a lot of little cool stuff in here too, so I could like pick this lock. There's some tranquilizer darts and things like that in there. There's, let's see this, NATCO handbook. This talks about the kind of world police attitude. It's kind of very, very interesting to see. This is my office in here.
You found your office. Did Janice give you your login? Yes, I see here that she did.
Sniper rifle. So if we type in JCD and Bionic Man, we'll see a guy named Reyes. That should sound very familiar for those of you that have played the prequels as well. And what I was talking about earlier, when Paul has something very special in his head, every neuron in your head has been augmented. So that's why they cloned Paul, because he has a very, very special brain, basically. I'm leaving that up there just for you guys to kind of get a little bit more of that kind of story here. Okay, so there's some very, very interesting things down here as well. And whenever you first, like, to me, when you played this game in 2000, when it first came out, if you go in this ladies' room,
How unprofessional.
she'll actually go and tell Manderley, and Manderley will tell you later, don't go in the women's bathroom. It's not professional. So it is kind of funny to see that. Let me see where I was gonna go. Here's the quartermaster here. Well, they updated that really nice. That actually used to not look anywhere that nice. So this is where people get the pacifist mentality, because if you go and blast people, he'll be like, hey, that was really not cool, and I'm only going to give you one magazine.
General Carter, I read about the Merced operation in school. This is a great honor.
I'm not a general anymore. Just call me Carter.
I can't believe what the NSF did to your family.
Enough of that, soldier. We each have our troubles. I lost my children, but you've had to grow up without your parents, which requires more courage. I don't think it matters.
My parents died in a car accident. That's different.
I said that's enough. You have your own op and time is short. How about I issue you a stealth pistol?
That sounds fine. Thank you, sir.
What else do you think you'll need?
So I can either get ammo here, a tech tool, which is basically a multi-tool, or a smart lock. I'm
A smart lockpick is always handy.
That's right.
Lockpick.
Infiltrate and evade. Engage only on your own terms. Now move out. Manderley's waiting.
So he doesn't like scorn me, basically. Very, very interesting fact. Your parents died in a car accident. That's a very, very big part of this game, and the fact that, you know, his family has been killed by NSF. There's a lot of different kind of twists and turns coming up, I'll say. Go ahead and talk to old Jamie here. Here we have a dead body. So those of you that want to translate that. There's a little hidden nano key, by the way, for those of you that are actually wanting to play through this.
Years of training and you're still all thumbs.
So here we have the origins of UNATCO. This is kind of an important one, so I will leave that one up here as well.
Hey, JC.
You look like the real thing. They actually let you operate on people?
Just fixed Gunther's knee, in fact. A sticky actuator. So far, I feel more like a mechanic than a doctor.
I'm impressed.
They actually let you point a gun at people.
We'll have to catch up later. I've got to leave for New York right away. Could you send Manderley whatever it is he wants?
No problem. Listen, JC. About your augmentations. You know they're preparing to roll out the technology worldwide, right?
As long as I don't turn green and grow a pair of antennas, as I understand it.
Yeah, well, the design's pretty modular, which means you'll soon have access to upgrades from standard augmentation canisters.
I think I picked one of those up at the top of the statue.
Maybe you did. My order from VersaLife was on the ship the NSF captured. You'll need to take it to one of the medbas for installation.
I'll do that.
The canisters contain a colloid of ROM modules. Some are generic upgrades, others require you to make permanent choices about how to configure one of your subsystems.
It's about time they implemented some of this stuff.
Report to Manderley. He told me to send you back to him on the double.
One more thing before I go, since you've been briefed on my augmentations. What can you tell me about the info link?
Let's see. Micro-receiver exostructure in the sulci, mechanocarbon threads on the axons. For queuing, you know, packet routing. Anything particularly interest you?
Is there a way to turn it off?
The info link?
Yeah, or is someone at UNATCO tuned in 24 hours?
These might sound a little funny, JC, but I'm not permitted to answer that question.
Your clearance is higher than mine?
Regarding your systems, I am your physician.
No big deal. I was just curious.
That's interesting. Then they will touch on that actually
waiting
later,
if I were you.
on why he won't brief you at this time. Now, Alex Jacobson, I'm going to go ahead here. You're actually supposed to go to
You're getting warm.
Manderley, but
You're red hot. Looks like you found me.
so this is the Great Death virus that they talk about in the very beginning. I'm going to go ahead and pick up. You're going to need that candy bar for the second part.
Like leading mouse to cheese.
This thing is starting to give me a headache.
Don't worry, we shut it down when you go off duty.
I guess I'll get used to it.
I'm Alex Jacobson, communications engineer.
I suppose you already know who I am.
Getting there. You're certainly quicker on the uptake than your brother Paul ever was.
Thanks.
Don't worry, I'll be watching your back.
He'll be a good partner in crime through the rest of here, and there are a couple secret platforms in here that I will, if I can even remember where they are. I thought it was over here, but I think I'm just going to go to Manderley's office because this is kind of neat. There's also a shooting range in here. Let me see if I can. That's the quarterback. So here we have the gun range.
Gunther should have followed orders.
And just like in Mankind Divided and all that kind of stuff, we can shoot all of our weapons and all that good stuff in here. So some tech goggles. And we can go ahead and pick up some ammo, but if we wanted to shoot in here just like in that, there actually is a range. It's kind of, I guess, kind of neat.
Thank you.
New York.
And that was actually just, yep, same stuff. Oh, that was just, yep, I remember that. Alright, so let's go ahead and talk to Manderley one more time. And Paul is in here.
That will be JC's job.
What's that? Power station. The NSF have Ambrosia in a warehouse protected by cameras and booby traps. We want to power down the whole system.
We're taking one illicit generating plant, protected by weak groups of NSF. Knock out that plant, and Paul's team can walk right into the warehouse.
Just tell me where it is. The NSF are openly resisting our deployed forces, gradually falling back. You'll have to deal with them first.
And you be ready, Paul. When the power drops, go in and go in hard.
I'll use my discretion.
Go in like the U.S. Marshals. We lose the vaccine, I'm sending your butt to the mayor to explain why he and his 3 daughters won't get their pills this month.
Yes, sir. Let's not waste any time, JC. Get down to the dock. A boat is waiting to take you and your partner, Anna Navarro, to shore.
Yes, get moving. Here's your op bonus for the great job you did in the statue, plus 250 for rescuing Agent Herman. That's 1,250. We take care of our people around here. By the way, Denton, stay out of the ladies' restroom. That kind of activity embarrasses the agency more than it does you.
So kind of a little funny thing, he actually will say, hey, don't do that.
You'll come to admire your partner.
This is his executive washroom.
We'll meet up in the city.
So that's pretty much it for kind of Area 1, if you will, the first part of this. Please let me know. I'm going to do a whole series on this, but if there's something I need to do different or tweak, I'm more than happy to do that. I hope I'm kind of doing this series justice. This is, like I said, one of my favorite games that I've gone back to several times. But I'm really hoping to give the story to those that have not played the original. I'm really hoping to give you the true and accurate story. And like I said, everything that I say will be backed up by newspaper, books, what have it, and things of that nature. A lot of these things that people are saying, and I have no problem with theories and hypothesis and all that kind of stuff, but some of them, like I said, they are wrong. Not a huge deal, but I'm just going to show a little bit of those minor things.